What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Good here at the House of Masks, where we unbox and review cool stuff almost every single day. And in today's video, we are taking a look at a very special set from my Slipknot mask collection, and I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Now, it's been quite a while since we've done a full set video. I used to do them pretty often back in the day, whether it was with Joey masks or Sid Wilson gas masks, etc. But today, I've got a completed set to show you guys, and I did put completed in quotations for a reason, which will be explained a little later on in the video. So yeah, I recently wrapped this setup, and I just thought that it would make a really cool video and that you guys would appreciate seeing all of these together. So with all that being said, we are not going to waste any more time. We're going to go to the other side of the room where I have them all set up and take a look at this full set.
You have nothing to contribute to this, so stay the fuck out!
Alright guys, so here we have it, my full Tattoo the Earth clown set. Now this is a very special thing for me to see all together, as I've been looking forward to it for a very long time, and as a lot of you guys probably know, the Tattoo the Earth clown mask is my all-time favorite Slipknot mask, or at least tied for my all-time favorite Slipknot mask. I really love the bald, slightly weathered variant of the Tattoo the Earth clown. I think that it is one of the greatest sculpts on Earth. It just absolutely captures like the perfect moment of madness via a sculpt. On top of that, I also really enjoy the Tattoo the Earth era. I think that it's my all-time favorite era of Slipknot because it is the perfect combination of what made us all love Self-Titled and Iowa so much. So if you took the best elements from both of those record cycles, you would have Tattoo the Earth. Now, the Tattoo the Earth clown was the first mask ever made for Slipknot, not a store-bought mask or something thrown together by one of the band members. This was the first mask that they ever had a legitimate SFX artist put together for them, and it was definitely a turning point for the masks in the band's career. So let's go ahead and hop on into this set, and I will explain a little bit about each piece.
Do you know where your teenagers are?
Now, as I walk you guys through this set and explain a little bit more in detail about each mask on the line, keep in mind that nothing here is actually final. There are some masks that will absolutely never leave the collection and that I won't be making any changes to at all, but there are quite a few small, minute little changes that need to be made to a few of the masks in the set. So keep that in mind. I will obviously explain each change as we go, starting with the first mask. We have the premier Tattoo the Earth clown, aka the haired Tattoo the Earth clown, and there are a few small little changes that I would like to make to this. So before I even start explaining about the mask and who did what, I will let you guys know that I'm not super happy with the paint job on the teeth. Obviously, the enamel that covered those bright white teeth has started to yellow, so I will have to make some slight changes to that. That's nothing that I can't fix myself, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Those should be a far brighter white and far less yellow. Even though I personally like the way that this looks, it is not true to the actual mask. So that will be changed, and I think that the eyebrows themselves need darkened. So that black line that's on there, although it looks really good right now, still not sure if that's the most accurate look for this haired mask. But as for the mask itself and giving props where props are due, this is a Wilson V1 Sculpt, my all-time favorite Tattoo the Earth replica sculpt, much like all of the rest of the masks in this except for one, which I will point out here shortly. Yeah, Sam Wilson Tattoo the Earth replica sculpt that was finished by Joey Fabricius and Mike Covert. Now, Joey Fabricius did the majority of the paintwork on this piece, and there were some slight alterations by Mike Covert once it was in Mike and Pat's possession. I'm not exactly sure what each of those alterations were, but I do know that the enamel was added by Covert and probably some of the weathering. So Sam Wilson, Joey Fabricius, and Mike Covert are responsible for this beast, the first one in the line, the haired Tattoo the Earth. Next up, we have an in-between clown. This is one of the rarer variations of the Tattoo the Earth clown. This is still technically the haired / bald version, but this is in between as it was losing hair, and I dubbed this the Mallet Clown years and years ago, and I think this was the clown that started me and Josh Jansen's long-standing relationship with each other. It's been a very good relationship. Josh Jansen is an absolutely phenomenal artist, and as I mentioned, this is a Sam Wilson V1 Sculpt, and clearly if I'm talking about Josh Jansen, you can probably assume that Josh was the one that finished finish this out. He did all of the painting, all of the weathering, and all of the hair. So the entire finish was done by Josh Jansen. Definitely a cool variation to have in my set, as I don't know of any other Mallet Tattoo the Earth Clown replicas. And as you can see, this one looks quite a bit different from the fully haired Tattoo the Earth Clown in terms of the finish, and that is because of those things that I mentioned earlier. Obviously, we still have bright, freshly painted white teeth, and we have a much darker brow line on the makeup there. So definitely a cool one, definitely stoked to have that in my set. And that leads us right on into probably my favorite mask of the set, and definitely my favorite mask in Slipknot's history, the bald Tattoo the Earth Clown. Again, painted by Josh Jansen. Not a whole lot to say about this piece. In Clown's career, as I mentioned earlier, the hair from the original premier haired Tattoo the Earth Clown had started to fall out. It wasn't punched in or anything like that. It was just kind of glued to the mask. And obviously with the wear and tear that a real Slipknot mask would go through, it lost its hair and it gave us the bald version, which I actually like more than the haired version. There's just something about it, I don't know. Couldn't really tell you why I like it so much more without the hair, but I do. So we've got the bald version here. Obviously these lines are starting to get a little bit more weathered. We're starting to miss some paint from certain areas such as the lip and the nose, and the enamel on Clown's teeth had actually started to yellow up quite a bit. So you see a drastic change on the mouth there as opposed to this transition copy here. Next up we have yet another variation of the haired slash bald Tattoo the Earth Clown, and that is the bald bloody version. Now there were a few different looks for this bald version. For instance, this one has running blood. I modeled this directly off of that show and the few photos that are out there, and I think that I did pretty fucking good. But there are also other versions of the bald variant because he didn't just use blood on this for one show. And most notably, something that I do want to get in my set is the smeared blood version, and that's just where he didn't have active fresh running blood on the mask. He just had the remnants of the shows that he would use this on, so the blood was kind of like smeared into the mask. Obviously Clown sweats and dumps water on himself, so the blood isn't going to stay like this for very long. You can already see that on this mask. During the Halloween 2000 show, it had started smearing into the mask just from rubbing against his jumpsuit or whatever his head may have touched. So yeah, this is another Sam Wilson copy. As I've mentioned before, all of the masks in this set are Sam Wilson copies, and this was actually hand painted by Sam Wilson, and I didn't hate the paint on this at all for being hand done. It was really, really well done. I think that it looked really good, but I knew that I wanted this copy to do the running blood version, so I got some perma blood, and this was actually my first time ever working with perma blood. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but I think that it turned out really, really well. I think that I got it as accurate as anybody's ever done a bloody Tattoo the Earth Clown, and I am very, very happy with it and happy to have it in my set. Now back here, I'm not going to bother getting him out. I think that you guys can see him pretty well, and if not, you need to go watch the Bust series anyways. We've got a Sam Wilson V1 that was painted up and finished by my buddy Brandon Scott Murphy, aka Sculpt or Die. I was really, really hard on Brandon as he was painting this because I wanted it modeled specifically after a very, very particular photo that is not the easiest photo to model off of, and I gotta give Brandon props for not only nailing the paint job, but for dealing with a very, very hard to deal with AJ that wanted nothing but perfection. So huge shout outs to Brandon. Thank you very, very much. This is one of the crown gems of my collection, and every time somebody comes over and sees the Bust set, they seem to be drawn to this Tattoo the Earth Clown. So super, super stoked with how this one turned out, and very, very happy to have it. As you can see, it is quite a bit different from Josh Jansen's, but like I said, I wanted this modeled directly off of a very specific photo, not just the Tattoo the Earth Clown as a whole. So yeah, the Bust set, make sure to go check those out. Alright, next up we have a really cool piece, but probably my least favorite of the set. Why? Well, I've got to be honest, this is a Sam Wilson. Look at that, what are you doing? Like I was saying, I have to be honest, this is a Sam Wilson V2, which I find to be highly inaccurate. Sam did a retooling of one of his V1s and it just really lost a lot of life. Everything that I liked about the V1s he seemed to take away from this sculpt. Luckily, I think as I did a review on this mask when I got it in, he realized that he had kind of messed up with that V2 and he went back to doing V1s or did like a V3 and like changed the details that were off about this. But as you can see, there's just something off about the eyes. They don't look nearly as good as those other copies. The mask also narrows down on the neck and does not look good at all. And I think that changes the mouth. Either that or he actually did re-sculpt the mouth. But something about the mouth just doesn't look right. Like, this whole mask doesn't look right. So I'm probably going to end up selling this one off. I will keep the bolts from it, and I will try to convince Josh Jansen to paint another copy and finish that one for me as well. Now, as for that, Josh did an absolutely stellar job on the paint job. I think if I got another one done, I would request it to be a little lighter due to some recent photos that have come out of the Bold Hawk Tattoo the Earth Clown. I'm not even sure if I mentioned that this was the Bold Hawk copy, but this is the copy that Clown started wearing on the World Domination Tour, so it's not technically a Tattoo the Earth mask. He didn't wear this on the Tattoo the Earth circuit. He wore it right after during the World Domination Tour, but we all know how these masks get their name, so this is still a TTE. But anyways, yeah, Josh's finish on this is very, very nice, and once again, Josh took the accuracy to a level that hadn't been done yet by painting each spike to match the spikes on Clown's actual mask. Ignore this, the copy just isn't firm enough to keep that up, so it kind of sags a little bit, but every single screw has been painted and weathered to match Clown's actual screws. With that being said, I don't want to focus too much on this mask because I don't think that it's going to be in the collection for much longer. I am going to try to replace that one as soon as possible, and we'll move on to two of the most special pieces from this collection. Now, next up, we have the only Tattoo the Earth that was seen during Iowa, and it was only seen for a very specific set of photos where Clown is holding this piece. He's got it up on his shoulders looking like some sort of two-headed evil clown monster, and then we see one random photo of some guy holding it. I think he might have been like a radio personality or something, but we actually don't have a mask here. We have a foam-filled prop, as you can see. This is foam-filled, just like Clown's actual brained Tattoo the Earth, and this one is the one that we premiered most recently. In the last video that I posted, I unboxed this, and this absolutely took the hobby by storm, just as I knew that it would. What we have here is a very, very special piece between three incredibly skilled artists. We have a Sam Wilson V1, once again, that was foam-filled and partially finished and altered by Grim Cox, aka Graham Cox. He did the brain here, he did the foam inserts, I think he did the foam filling himself, and then we sent it off to Josh Jansen to have him finish it with the paint and the blood. And I'm telling you guys, every single little speckle of blood on this is as accurate as possible to the photos that we referenced off of Clown. So this is a very, very cool piece. It's the only foam-filled piece, it's the only non-wearable mask in the set, and I think that this one easily has the most work and is definitely something that hadn't been achieved yet in the hobby. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, people have replicated this before, but never to the level of this, so this one's like on its own playing field, and just something very, very crazy. Every time I walk through here since I got it, I just stare at this thing because it's amazing. So huge shout out to those three artists. And that brings us to our final piece of the Tattoo the Earth puzzle. What we have here is yet again the bald Tattoo the Earth Clown, just another variation. We have the 2013 Monsters of Rock, one of Slipknot's all-time worst concerts, with some of modern day Slipknot's coolest theatrics. Clown busted out the Tattoo the Earth Clown for the first time in a very, very long time, since Tattoo the Earth actually, and wore it on stage, and what we got was a very, very decrepit mask. I think this might actually be the coolest variation of Clown's bald Tattoo the Earth. As you can see, the enamel had weathered super, super hardcore. These don't even really look like teeth anymore. They look like some gross little candies or something. Half of the enamel had peeled off, exposing some of that raw white again. We have face paint all over the mask, general weathering with some spots that were slightly repainted as well, such as the nose, and it just made for a very, very cool thing. It fit Clown's head slightly different because obviously he's not the same person that he was almost 20 years prior to that show. And yeah, Josh Jansen absolutely killed the finish on this Sam Wilson V1 yet again. A very, very cool piece to add to my collection. Now again, this is one of those things that just seemed to take the hobby by storm. I know Josh had replicated this one once before, but between he and I, my love for the Tattoo the Earth Clown and his dedication to accuracy, we were able to just absolutely stomp this project out. And I've really, really got to give a big shout out to Josh Jansen, who did the majority of the work for this set. If you didn't notice by me saying his name a bazillion times throughout this video, he did most of the paint jobs in this set. Only 3 of these masks didn't have something to do with Josh Jansen, so a massive, massive shout out to Josh. I will be dropping his information down below, as well as Sam Wilson, who contributed all of the sculpts. So I'll be dropping both of their information down below. Make sure to go check them out. Alright, we are finally at the end. Last but not least, I debated even putting this one in this video because I don't really technically consider it a Slipknot mask, seeing as how it never actually had anything to do with Slipknot. Clown can be seen using every single mask behind me. However, this was just a Screaming Mad George prototype. archetype. Now, for those of you that don't know, Screaming Mad George is the artist that came up with the Tattoo the Earth Clown, as well as a plethora of other Iowa and Volume 3 masks for the band, and he had a foam-filled piece that he took to display at different conventions when he was showing off his work, and this was the example of the Tattoo the Earth Clown that he had sitting on his table. As I mentioned, his was a foam-filled piece, this one is not. However, I do have the replica for the sake of having the replica, so I figured I would toss it in here at the end and just show it off a little bit and talk a little bit about it briefly. As I mentioned, this really doesn't have much to do with Slipknot other than the fact that it is the personal copy of the artist that created that piece for Slipknot. But yeah, my replica here is once again on a Sam Wilson V1, and it was painted by Brandon Scott Murphy, the same artist that painted the copy that I have on my bust back here. So Brandon makes the list yet again, and it is a very cool piece. It's almost just like a combination between the Bald Tattoo the Earth, the Bolt Hawk Tattoo the Earth, and the Brained Tattoo the Earth. It has a lot in common with all three of those paint jobs. So I am very stoked with this piece. I got this secondhand, so I didn't even actually have to go to an artist to have it done. My buddy Tony sold it to me for a very good price, and it is a cool piece to look at, but I do keep it separate from the Slipknot pieces for the reasons that I have explained earlier. I'm just super stoked to see this set together. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not technically complete. There are some slight variations, such as the smeared blood bald Tattoo the Earth, as well as some slight alterations that need to be done to certain masks, such as repainting the teeth, darkening up some eyebrow lines, etc. But I was just way too excited after I got this piece the other day that I had to shoot this video and get it out for you guys. I felt like it had been quite a while since we had done a full set video, and I was excited to do that. So I really hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and as a bonus, we have some other Tattoo the Earth to show you. So I can't forget about my PKs, although they don't really fit this set because none of them are finished, and they are a completely different sculpt, if you will, even though these are literal 3D scans directly off of the real Tattoo the Earth Clown. But I have 3 of these. I have one larger one, as you can see, and I have 2 smaller copies. Now, I will be keeping 2 of these blank. I'll be keeping the larger one blank. It was my original. I never wanted to have this painted, and I'm sticking to that. I'm just going to keep it as it is for what it is. Now, between the 2 smaller copies that I have, I am going to be sending one of these off to Josh Jansen if I can get him to paint it for me. I would love a bald version based directly off of the Kerrang Awards from 2000, and then I'll probably keep the other smaller one blank for the same reason that I'm keeping this other larger one blank. So stay tuned for an update on those, and with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I will leave you guys with some nice up-close shots of this full set that's behind me, and that will be that. So thank you guys again for watching. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comments what variation of the Tattoo the Earth Clown is your favorite and why. And until next time, this has been AJ Good at the House of Masks, telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol and yes to Tattoo the Earth, and we will see you guys later.